So thank you all so much for um, creating time out to actually join me in this conversation. And guess what? This is my first pilot show. Yes, the
Yay.
first. So you're actually making history right there,
Yeah.
right there and there. You're making history. So
Yes.
I have, as we know, today's topic is we're going to be discussing values.
Values, values, values. As I closely examine our lives, countries, leaders, and families, I observe an increase in single parent homes, side chick ministry, adultery, and fornication is the order of the day. I realize that there is something fundamentally wrong with our outlook on life. There is great decline on our morality and values, and it's so disheartening. Everyone has decided to live as they choose. Some live as though they are not accountable to anyone. Some leaders lead with no integrity and such depravity of mind. The next generation are crying in silence for help and a wake up call. What has gone wrong with our values? Where has the family unit failed? And how can we begin to make changes? What sign are all this showing us? Is there something we need to pay more attention to? All of this and more will be addressed on today's show. So stay tuned.
All right. Okay. So I'm just going to introduce our guests and ladies first. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go start introducing. Maybe I will introduce Tayo. So we have the Tayo Akimola. So she's a beautiful daughter of God, doing great things in her life, and she's here to actually, join us and actually lend her voice. I believe that she has a lot to say, she has a lot to say. And one thing I actually like her voice. I like her voice. Her voice is very soothing. No, it's true. Her voice is very soothing. So sometimes,
Ah, thank you.
when she joins in with some maybe like we were having Bible study and she hears our opinion or something, I'll be like, oh, that's so soothing. Like I like that, a fresh perspective, on things. So thank you so much for joining us today, Tayo.
Thank you for
And
having me.
I have with me GB ADM. Yeah. Who knows what it stands for from the guys? No, 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 no,
I don't know.
no. It's called Adorable Mom. Adorable Mom. So GB is the founder and she's the president and founder of Adorable Mom, where she provides online mentoring to over 300,000 moms across the globe. She's a qualified trainer with a diverse background in human nutrition, information technology, and project management. She's a member of the RCDP Board of Management and a one-time town councillor candidate in the Ireland local elections. He has won many awards, including the Powerlist 100 Most Influential Africans in Ireland and the WAW Hall of Fame Award, UK. GB is also the coordinator of the Royal Vessels, a group of worshippers who host the yearly worship tagged Exalt the Lord, and its seventh edition will hold in July 2021. So we are really, really honored and privileged to have our in our midst. Welcome, GB, to this discussion. Thank you so much for coming,
Thank you.
and thank you for
Thank you for having
thank you for having you here. I wanted to bring her on because she can be the voices of so many mothers. Look at it, like circle of influence, 300 moms. When we're talking about values, I really want to have that juicy perspective right there. Okay, then we have yes, Brother Abby, Brother Abby is here also, and I don't know, I will call you Brother Abby. Where I call you Abby? Because I call him brother. So
It's all good, Chase.
yeah. So I'll call him Abby. Okay, I just call him Abby for professionalism. Abby. So I seem to be very he's into the accounting sector also, and I see him to be very, he's very interesting and very deep, very very deep. in his thought process, and and he's very real also, and authentic, also finding his way. It's actually my brother's friend also, so there was time they came and I was like, the three wise men. I was like, they're that one. So he's a brother, praise the oh yes, he's a brother. I just wanted to say praise the Lord right there in church. Okay, then I have with me now, I have another brother with me here, Elendu Uche. And guess what? Elendu Uche is actually joining us all the way from Nigeria, on Zoom right here. And this brother of mine has also been my brother way back from high school days. Yes. And Elendu is somebody that I know quite well, and is a man of integrity, a man that fears God, and is young and he wants to do great things. He has a family also, and doing great things. So I'll just give you 1 minute to say something about yourself, something that I have not covered, before we start. So I'll go over to maybe Abby.
Yeah, just like our sister said, I think she's given a very good introduction. Well, I'm happy for those who doesn't know me. Professionally, I guess everyone calls me Abraham. So I'm an accountant. So I work in the financial sector. So I guess in terms of like what you're saying, in terms of who I am as a person, I'm someone that has very deep interest in people. I strongly believe in selflessness. And I think when I hear people like ADB, who are helping other mothers out there, I think that's great. Well, I've been very active in my community as well, especially coming from Clare, where I would have actually been part of the Nigerian community for a very long time. From being, well, I wouldn't start calling roles and positions, but I think it's probably more in terms of how you are able to, put yourself out there and be selfless by helping other people. I wouldn't dance on my laurels, but rather than I'll try and look more forward towards what are the things that I think I can still bring to my community. And I think there's a lot more that we as Africans that we can definitely bring to our community in Ireland. And that is what I stand for as well. So yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for having me. I will keep my mouth short now.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, Elendu, over to you. Just tell us a bit about.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I would say, yeah. So I'm a dad. I'm a software engineer. Basically, financial services. Been doing that for 10 years now. Yeah, I'm a Christian, and yeah, I love to work with people. I love working with children. I love basically I love basically getting involved in anything that would improve the life of people, and not just on the physical level, but on a material level, but also on spiritual level as well. Providing more insight, clarity. Yes, so I'm just here to serve. That's so.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, Taya, do you want to say something?
Well, well, I am a mom of one. I feel like I'm called more to the young ladies because I find myself having so many ladies come up to me asking for my advice. So I am looking forward to what God would continue to unravel through me in these young ladies. Like I'm more passionate about making sure that the young ladies, they don't make the same mistakes that I made, and also use myself as an example, what I did wrong, what I would have done better, just to help them and guide them in their journey, because the world we live in right now, there's so much out there that is causing a lot of pressure and things like that. So having been through well, it's not as if I'm so old, but having been through I use my experience to help the ladies around me. So that's basically me.
Okay. Thank you so, so much. Now, GB.
Right. Let's see. I'd say for me the most important and of any job, any role, any ministry, anything else that I could find myself doing, the most important one and the one I value the most is my position as a mom. I cherish it so much. The power, just that power of influence that you have over children. And I just count it a very great responsibility, and I count it a very great privilege. And I'm thankful that I have two that I call my biological children. I have 7 that I call my captains. They know that I've been blessed with from my siblings. And then I have, counting on now, about 12 godchildren. And for me, my godchildren are just as important to me as my biological children. Same thing with my captains. And, thankfully with the Adultery Mom Network now, I have 300,000 moms multiplied by the number of children that each and every one of them have. I count each of them, my children. So I'm just as passionate about each of those children out there as the ones that I have been blessed with, because parenting is such a powerful tool. And I wish that every parent, not just moms, every parent understood how powerful that tool called parenting is. I'm just so passionate about it. If I've done nothing else, but if on my tombstone all I could have there is she was a great mom, I would rest well.
Wow. That is so powerful. That is so powerful, and that is very, very deep right there. So in other words, I can actually say that you value, the power of influence, or even being a mom, that's part of
Absolutely.
value,
Absolutely.
So now let's dive into the topic for today, which is values. So my question is, let's just start from the basic, from the very basic, just in case anybody's watching and they don't understand what it means. So they're talking about values. What does value mean to you? What is the meaning of value? When we say value, what does it mean? What does it mean to you?
Hello everyone. I hope you and your family is doing wonderful in this crucial time of pandemic. And I'd like to thank Abuela for taking this initiative and doing the noble job with her show, The Sign, and having me to bring my opinion on her show and some question what I can help her with. So, talking about the first question, what do you mean when it comes to the word values? For me, values is more of an personal beliefs, opinions, and what we keep above everything and anything, no matter what. It's more of an life experiences what we try to craft around our environment, and it decides the way we live and we behave in our society.
What does value mean to me? What do I feel when I hear the word value? What comes to my mind? And the first thing is that value are things that are important to us. For me, values are the things that are important to me, my priorities and all of that. But on the other hand, values are the things that I use to measure my life, to evaluate, to see if I'm growing or not. The things I used to value when I was young might be different from the things I value right now. So that's one other thing that I think. But on the other hand, what are my own values? Like, how do people see me? Like, what value did they place on me? The value of a car. You can use that for example. When you see the qualities of a car, what the car can do and all of that would increase the value. Now, value to me. What does my value mean? How do people see me? That's one other thing that I think about when I see value. But let's be very sure that values are different from morals. Value can be personal, and moral can be what the society wants. Value can be your reliability, loyalty, commitment, honesty, consistency, and the likes. While moral will be your etiquette and courtesy and all of that. So it's just two different things. Won't go deep down into that.
So, who wants to share with us?
I go first. To me, value are behaviors and mainly that are instilled in us from maybe our home, from our parents, from our pastor, mentor, or someone that, like, even in school, like value is some, like, you can get value. The major place that our values are instilled in us is from when we're growing up in our homes. And then also the ultimate value that we can, where we can get the ultimate value from, is from our Lord Jesus Christ, because he would, if you study his life, if you even study the word, you will get godly values that is instilled in you, and it will follow you throughout your life, so value can be can be instilled in us in different places. It's just where we're getting the value is what is important, because you can get bad values and you can get good values. So yeah, that's what I have to say about values.
Thank you so much. So, Mike, I want to go into like what is the meaning of value? You know, like before we start
Value.
getting it instilled, yeah, before we start getting it instilled on our children or anybody, what does the word value mean?
I would say, on the back of what Taya has said, I would say that values really, they're just your beliefs, and the beliefs that each one of us count as important, or that we consider most important. So you'll find that my values as a woman may differ from your values as a woman, but when you talk about values as a mom, we may share the same values, or values as so many different ways, so many different diverse ways. So values are just beliefs, the beliefs that you consider most important. And the interesting thing with that is that also changes as life goes on.
Yeah. Okay. Any other addition from the guys right there? Because I intentionally brought guys too, because when you talk about talk show, they'll be like, "Oh, it's just the women that talk." But we want to hear. Can you hear
All
me?
right. Yeah,
Yes.
I can hear you. Now can you hear me as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can.
I think I'll probably try and take it slightly from a different perspective, or maybe just
That's
look at
why
it
you're
from.
here. That's why.
So I while we were talking, I tried to Google and see what exactly does Google says about values. I'm sure wherever Google is, it might just be my next door neighbor, but let's just see what it says anyway. So I've got two definitions here. One is saying the regard that something is held to deserve, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. Um, Another one says principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. And then there's a verb saying values, estimated monetary worth. So I guess in a way you could say what is the what that we put to something. But I'm just going to take us back now. Look at it from, like I said, from a different perspective. There's a word growing up that which is the word that came to mind. I probably won't do it a lot of justice. What is they used to say atile ni atinkwe shorode.
That's Yoruba for those that don't know. So please interpret.
So it means our values and our cultures literally comes from our home. So first, your culture and everything comes from what you're exposed to from growing up, from your home. So and there's something I learned recently, which I find very powerful. It's the virtual reality. So let's just take it, every single one of us. We put on our virtual reality goggles, and just think for a minute. What exactly would you see in front of you? So all you're going to see is whatever image you have in that virtual reality. And so, which means in essence, the virtual reality of every single person, our values are different. So if I'm coming from a Nigerian home, it means my virtual reality is the things that are in front of me. Likewise, if I'm coming from a Yoruba home, it means my culture, my values are the things from that home.
Yeah.
So be it Igbo, Hausa, Shekiri, your tribe. So it means these are the first thing that you are exposed to. Those are your virtual reality. And likewise, when you bring it to Irish setup, for an Irish person, their virtual reality would be their culture. Say, for example, drinking. Drinking is acceptable, it's the norm because that is their virtual reality. And you go back to, especially when we start trying to feminize things, and you look from a woman's perspective, they tell you, oh, you're a woman, you shouldn't be drinking. But who says you can drink? But it's only because that's our virtual reality. And I think that's kind of shows the importance of values. And like you said, ADB, being from a mother's network, I'm sure you've been exposed to a lot of moms. So I think it's very important, the values that we expose our children to in the home, because these are the values that they will take into the community.
Yeah.
And this is things that would affect, or maybe in a positive way or in a good way in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't dictate a conversation, so I'll let someone else talk.
Wonderful. I hope people are taking notes. Anyway, you can watch. It's going to be on YouTube, so people can take notes and watch it over right there. Now, Elendu would like to hear your views.
Yeah, so I think, so thinking about it back to first principles, yeah. So values basically, so yeah, values are more like values are more like beliefs, right? And they are baseline or foundational beliefs from which we that by which we decide what to do, how to respond in a situation or scenario, right? Now, as a father, right, it's interesting to watch my kids. And one thing I learned from them is that values are purely acquired, right? Values are acquired. They are instilled. And nobody comes born. So every human being comes into the earth with one value. One. That one value is, that one belief is self-preservation. It is, I need to be taken care of. Because when you think about it, you wonder, and that belief is why when a child is uncomfortable, they cry. Now, interestingly, when you study why children cry, it's not that it's just a knee jerk. They don't know how to channel their emotions, so they just do whatever comes to them. But you see, the reason why they keep crying is they realize, and another interesting thing is that the human brain, people think for children, their brains are not fully developed, right? Interestingly, a child's mental capacity, a research showed, is already complete. Like, the child is able to assimilate anything you throw at the child, even as a 3-month-old baby. Interestingly, and how they proved, they did the research and proved it. So I'm not going to go into that. But how you know that is true is that a child cries because they're uncomfortable, and the initial belief or value system, value they have there is that I need to be taken care of. I have to survive, right? And so that makes them, I know whatever this happens. But the moment you respond, they quickly learn that every time they cry, you respond. And so, they keep crying. So once they cry, and that's because the initial value system, the initial value or believe what is important to them at that point is, self-preservation, right? Self-preservation. And that is why if you leave children, you don't now start instilling the other values. And some of these values are blocked. They build on another, right? What happens is that child can grow up to be very, very jealous. Like, be the type that is very jealous. They don't share. Because they still hold on to the baseline value of self-preservation. And so if they are really focused on self-preservation, you find that child is not nice to other children. He doesn't share his toys. He doesn't share his food. And you're like, which kind of child is this? You're not a very good child. But it's not true. The child is true to the baseline value every family comes with. So I now realized that I actually had to take my time, and all my children demonstrated it. Initially I started holding their toys. Until I realized, wait, I actually have to now build and say, okay, teach the child, no, you need to share. And there's value in sharing. If you share, right, you will get more back. and that still feeds on self-preservation, right? You can't survive by just holding on to everything to yourself. You survive more by sharing because you get help back. That's the way building that value systems, and that's how we come about value systems. It's actually a system. One builds on another, right? So that's my take on values.
That's a very interesting.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely, thank you for that.
Yeah, that was quite a very, very interesting illustration, and I want to.
Yeah, that is very interesting. All right.
Yeah, I want to build on that now. Okay, for example, now I want us to evaluate. Because when I played the intro, when I played the intro, I showed us some pictures of some things, leaders in the country, our current states, what is going on in the world right now, so many things in families, relationships, churches, mosque, wherever, Now, when we think about all of these things, what is this showing us what is this showing us about our current state of values? That means, what all of this display that we are displaying with our lives right now, what is it pointing to? What is this showing us about our current state of values? Before I now go back to what Elendu said about, for example, now a father which is there to actually tell the child, okay, no, share, do this. So that means an adult have a very, very huge influence on the child. So now the kind of adults matters what results, what products the child would bring. So now with all the children, which is the adults that are up now, probably our leaders and even everybody presently, what is this showing us about our current level of values in our society? Because this is the reason why for this topic, because we need to talk about these things to be able to reevaluate our values and to know that what are we actually living? Are we really living the right way? So I want to hear your thoughts on that question.
Okay, so let me go first. It's a simple question, but it's a very complex one, right? And that is because values are instilled, and like Abraham said, Abi said, and every other person has said, you acquire it, and depending on where you live, right, you would acquire some set of values different from the guy that stays somewhere else. Some would intercept because some values have been proven to be universally true, right? And by wisdom, some people, other cultures have realized that, see, this. But what I see, for my take is back to the basic human need of preservation, right? And what Jesus and scriptures, God has done is Christ has showed us that our survival is not a difficult thing, right? And that it's actually the quality of life we live, while we are here, not how long. And so Christ has showed us that, and Scripture has taught us, therefore, that whatever we do, right, as much as we love ourselves, we should love our neighbors and others equally as more, because that is where we will derive joy. So what Christ has done, Christ shifted the focus away from just surviving to quality of life, right? How much value we add to others. And I think this is where the major split is, right, in the foundation of value systems. So if you look at the value system of the world today, most of it are still on self-preservation. And and that just breeds all sorts of rubbish. So capitalism as a system of government or economics is built on amassing wealth to self-preservation. No matter how much English people speak about capitalism being about adding value, it's not true. Yes, you have to add value, because if you don't add value, nobody will buy anything from you, right? But in the end, they do it so they are profits. And why do you make profits? Yeah, because you want to have more money, really, and give back to investors, and then give some to yourself. People start and say, I want to be billionaires when I start. I have to step back and actually realize that in itself is sort of narcissistic in a way, right? And you're not being true to yourself, and there are a few CEOs that have actually broken out of that thing. I read of a CEO that went ahead and slashed his pay, right? so that his pay was like the lowest in the company, so
Wow.
that he could pay others more, right? His employees ended up buying him a Tesla later, like a year later, thereabout, and his pay hasn't gone up, and he so there are only a few leaders that actually have broken out of that trap of they need to just be alive, amass more, and I think that's where everything is rooted in. So that's why you have people coming up with things that just benefit them, right? And I think that's where the whole ugliness comes from. It's the same thing happening to African leaders. The Nigerian guy is stealing money and taking it to Dubai. And I wonder what wisdom is there in that, right? As long as the money, is in their name, they are fine with it. It's happening in America. It's happening everywhere, really.
Yeah.
I think this is the crux of the problem. Yeah.
So now, how can we change this narrative? I will take it to our adorable mom. How can we change this narrative? Because it's disheartening, to be honest with you. It is disheartening. And if you look at it, okay, yes, I was born in Nigeria, but I spent almost 15 years or 16 years over there, and then coming back here, what I found out that in African countries there's a lot of religion. Like we are so religious. We go to do this, we go to mosque, we go to church, we go to wherever. But then our actions are just like not really in alignment with what we are professing. But when you come here, there's some things happening too, abroad or something. But the basic things, when they say they will do something, they will do it. When it's integrity, different things like that. You appreciate everybody. You just basic things like that. What is going wrong, and how can we change the narrative? Over to GB.
Okay, I'll just like Muchi had said, it's quite complex. So I wish it was a straightforward thing, and we could just say, look, let's press this button and everything will get back into shape. But it's quite a complex issue, and it's one that would require so many different things to be done, and probably a long time as well before we can fully get back to that point. But one of the things that I advocate is turning the me upside down. When you turn me upside down, it becomes we. Let's turn me upside down and start to do we more. But how do we even do that when, like Uche rightly said, we're all still in that box of self-preservation? Me, myself, and I. And so one of the things that I believe that we could do is, first, as parents, taking it from the parents, because like Abraham rightly said, values, you start the value system from home. The Yoruba adage he gave, where you leave the house dressed before you go out. You pretty much, you step out dressed. Only a mad person dresses up or walks naked on the street. So you come from home. Coming from home, parents can start to set up that system where children understand the importance of we, where you're operating your family as a we. In this home, we do team. So I call one of my children and I say, look, this has been left here and shouldn't be here. And then they say to me, oh, I didn't do it. And I say, well, it doesn't matter if you didn't do it. Did you see it when you walked past it? Where we're a team in this family, so we all take responsibility for it. It's not to say that whoever has done it, if it requires for them to bear the consequences or be accountable for what they have done, that I will not hold them accountable. But it's just that you don't turn your eye, because it's not me who did, I didn't create that mess, so I don't have to clean it, or I don't have to do anything about it. So even if what you're doing is going to the person who's done that mess to say, you need to clean up your mess, or drawing attention to what needs to be fixed, but just that everybody in the house is aware that this house is we house. It's not me. It's not a me thing in this system here, that we're doing team in everything that we do. So when we start to raise our children to understand that we go far when we go together, but if you want to go fast, like the African adage, go alone. But I say, why are you going fast? Why are you going alone? I run a lot of programs with young ones, and I say to them, look, I'm heading for the top. I'm not there yet, but I'm heading for the top. And one thing I know about the top is it's very lonely at the top. Don't let me go alone. Let's go together. What's the point of me going to the top and being there alone? What's the beauty in being there alone? Let's go together. Let's work together. Let's help each other, go together. The word of God says, iron sharpeneth iron. Let's sharpen each other and move together. Like, it's so beautiful to do together. Even with my team, I sound like a broken record to them now. I'm constantly saying, it's not enough for you to be on this team. Like, we really need to do team, as in TEAM, to the very last word in that word, letter in that word. We need to do team, like do it together. It's not about me. I don't want to be that leader who's taking all the accolades. There's nothing I'm going to do with it at the end of the day. I don't want to do me alone. So within my space, I'm kind of putting it out there, putting that energy out there. My team, we're all here together. We're all colleagues. As a matter of fact, we're all doing this together. Forget that I'm privileged to have started this up. It's just a privilege, but we can do it together. I can only do so much by myself. I've 1,001 emails to respond to. If we delegate this between ourselves, we can respond quicker. If I have to respond to everything, it takes me forever. I have so many things to do. If we all do it together and we share those values and run along together, we will go further. And when we go further, there's beauty, there's more to enjoy, and we will enjoy it together. And that also, means that I have to be selfless. I'm not selfish. I don't want to have it all to myself. How many beds can I sleep in? How many cars can I drive at a time? How many, So I start to let them understand that, look, we will go far if we go together, and we will leave a legacy behind if we go together. It would just be beautiful to say, oh, GB started this off. But look, we would all make it happen, and we would all have left a legacy.
Yeah.
There's no beauty in GB started this off, but at the end of the day, there was no legacy left behind. She died, and all that she built died with her. So it's just within our individual spaces. Like, there's a lovely hymn. It says, "Brighten the corner where you are." If we all start to brighten the corners where we are, someday, our little drops of water might become a mighty ocean. But each and every one of us need to start where we are. As parents, start in the home. If you're a leader somewhere, start within your team. If you happen to have influence, any form of influence in your community or anywhere you find yourself, just start from there. And interestingly, we could just build so much in those little spaces and those little efforts that we put into it.
That is very, 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 very loaded and very deep. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You said turn the me upside down.
Yeah.
And I've never heard that before. Turn the me upside down. And when you turn the me upside down, you get we.
You get we, yeah. And Bill, I'll tell you one thing. One day when I was having a meeting with my team, I showed them the slides where you have me and then you have the we upside down. And I asked them, if we were to pour any content into the me and the we, which would take some more? Letter M just has that little space in between the M, and it's the rest of the spaces is not accessible because it's standing on it. But when you turn the we upside down, you have the two different spaces to pour content into. I'm like, look, if we pour into the we have more. But if we pour into the me, you have less, and you're really busy sitting on so much space that nobody can access because you're pretty much sitting on it.
Goodness. Goodness. My goodness.
That's very deep. And if there's anything I can take from those words, I think it goes to show that when we're talking about values, our language, the language that we use,
very
is
important.
very important. And truly, just to illustrate that, I think there was something I noticed recently. This is to do with my niece. And like, when you say something to her, you're like, whatever it is you say to her, all she says back to you is no, no, no. And I kind of like just take a step back and try to understand our thought process. All I get, this is from when she's trying to do something wrong, and the mom is saying, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. The only language she now knows is no. Where and that word is, when you think about the word no, it's very negative. It's very self-preservating. If I have to borrow that word, I think I'm going to look at it from a different angle again. There's an exercise I've done. This was years back. I think I'd volunteer with junior achievement. So I was working with these kids. So I was just taking them through some exercise that has been, which is tailored by Junior Achievement Program itself. So you just need to take these kids through this program. But one thing that I noticed from this exercise, which is quite amazing, is this. So you're telling kids, okay, because I think the program that I was taking them is to do with business. So it was more kind of encourage them about, what it takes to become, and why to stay, reason why to stay in school, and outside of school, how you can still be able to become maybe a self-employed person, and you can employ other people and create jobs. But the key thing that stood out for me was there's an exercise where they have to assemble a pen. Okay, um, and they divide this exercise. You divide this exercise into two. So one is you have each individual person trying to assemble the pen by themselves.
Mm.
Okay, and the second exercise, you assemble the exact same pen collectively, where you're taking a piece. You're only responsible for a piece of that pen. At the end of the exercise, what I found was that more pen was actually built compared to as a team compared to building as an individual. So I said to this kid, this was a shock. It was a bit of a shock to my own system as well. So I now said to this kid at the end of the program, I was like, look, it shows the power of working as a team. But what my reference in this is, this goes back to our culture and our values. In this country, in most of the Western system, they already take it at a young age to instill team effort into their kids. This is already built into them. This is not part of the curriculum of the school. This is something extra.
Yeah.
You understand? But they still instilling this discipline of being a team player. But then when you take this back to the context of Nigeria, I remember growing up, it was always about the accolades. It's about you coming first. So, even when you come third, you're afraid to go home to tell your parents. I remember there was a mate of mine that I think she came first. And like this girl was crying, and we were all like wondering, why is she? No, she came third. I think I had come fourth. So I was celebrated. This was me doing I was doing my dad. I was like, yeah. And this girl came third, and this guy's crying, and this girl is crying. She's like, I'm not going home because my dad is gonna kill me. So you can see this is all the individualism that we're talking about. Now it becomes a case of, I need to be the best. So it's not a case of we need to be the best. And I think this is coming back to your words that we need to flip that word from, change the language more from me to the we. And I think I'm definitely with you on this one. And I'm just going to throw the Bible in there as well, where it says, be transformed. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So I think to solve the problem is a case of renewing the mind and start changing our language from we to me.
Yeah. And also to add to that as well, I believe that we need to be the change that we want to see. There's no point you saying, oh, let's be a team player and everything, and you're still going on doing what you're telling them not to do. So you're literally telling them, okay, practice what I say, but don't practice what I do. And I think that is the culture in a lot of homes, where the parents will tell the kids, don't do this, don't do that, oh, you shouldn't do this, but the children are looking at you as well. So you need to actually be the example. You have to be the example of what you're saying, so that way they can follow what you're saying as well as what you're doing. I think that is where we really need to start as well. Like GB said, it starts from the home, but in the home as well, we need to say the right things to them and also do the right things, because kids look at us. They look at what you're doing, not necessarily what you're saying. If what you're saying is not correlating with what you're doing, it confuses them,
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to add to it.
Yes, and I hope you're taking notes to complete this interview. Watch out for part 2. Okay?